Welcome back to Reading the Bible with Pastor. Today we're in Esther chapter 1, starting at verse 10. What we had read previously was about King Ahasuerus, or King Xerxes, and his power, his influence, his wealth, and just to see how much he could actually control. We're going to read now about his queen, Queen Vashti, and how she responds to that power and influence and control. So let's start with verse 10. On the seventh day, that would be the seventh day of the celebration in the capital of Susa, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass, the 7 eunuchs, who served in the presence of King Ahasuerus, to bring Queen Vashti before the king with her royal crown, in order to show the peoples and the princes her beauty, for she was lovely to look at. But Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's command, delivered by the eunuchs. At this, the king became enraged, and his anger burned within him. So the king has all of this power, all of this influence, all of this control over a huge empire, but he cannot tell his wife what to do. And we look at this, and I would agree with Queen Vashti. No, I wouldn't want my wife showing her beauty to all the men around me. We look at Ephesians chapter 5. It says that wives are to submit to their husbands, but in a way that submits to a husband who is doing what is righteous and good in the eyes of the Lord, not righteous and good in their own eyes. And the king here, merry with wine, potentially drunk with wine, he is showing off his wife to everyone, which should be something that is for his sake. And so we can imagine that Queen Vashti is saying no to this properly. But the king is enraged that he does not have the ability to control or have power over his wife. Verse 13. Then the king said to the wise men, who knew the times, for this was the king's procedure toward all who were versed in law and judgment, the men next to him being Karshina, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsina, and Mecumen, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, who saw the king's face and sat first in the kingdom. To be able to see the king's face means to look him in the eye and to speak with him. Most people were beneath the king and weren't able to draw their gaze up towards his eyes. And so they were beneath him. These people were able to discuss things and hold judgment along with the king. This is verse 15. So he's asking them what to do. According to the law, what is to be done to Queen Vashti? Because she has not performed the command of King Ahasuerus, delivered by the eunuchs. Then Mecumen said in the presence of the king and of the officials, not only against the king has Queen Vashti done wrong, but also against all the officials and all the people who are in the provinces of King Ahasuerus. For the queen's behavior will be made known to all women, causing them to look at their husbands with contempt, since they will say, King Ahasuerus commanded Queen Vashti to be brought before him, and she did not come. This very day, the noble women of Persia and Media who have heard of the queen's behavior will say the same to all the king's officials, and there will be contempt and wrath in plenty. Basically, here he's saying, look, if the queen could do it, then every wife, every woman can go against the command of her husband and the man in her life. And what will become of your nation, King Ahasuerus? Obviously, the king must act on this proposal and quell what could potentially be contempt or an upwelling. This is all going way off base. What we as Christians should do is respect one another and abide by the commands of the Lord and submitting to each other in the way that the church submits to Christ, abiding by those rules, the true rules of our life that are given to us in love by God. Here, though, the king must act in order to save face and to prove that he is in control. So verse 19. If it please the king, Let a royal order go out from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, so that it may not be repealed, that Vashti is never again to come before King Ahasuerus. And let the king give her royal position to another who is better than she. So when the decree made by the king is proclaimed throughout all his kingdom, for it is vast, all women will give honor to their husbands, high and low alike. Basically saying, if you make this a rule, everybody's going to listen because you are so good and mighty and powerful. This advice pleased the king and the princess. Of course it would. Look how great and mighty you are. And the king did as Mecumen proposed. He sent letters to all the royal provinces, to every province in its own script, and to every people in its own language, and that every man be master in his own household, and speak according to the language of his people. So Queen Vashti, by denying the king, is deposed. And the king must act to show that he is in control, in power, and to show how he is king. And now that Queen Vashti is removed, there must be a new queen. And so in chapter 2, we'll read about how a new queen is chosen for King Ahasuerus. So we'll pick up next time with chapter 2.